Hi guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with the ship with me. These are all orders that came through over the last couple days. As a matter of fact, I'm doing this on a day that I usually don't do this. I usually film my ship with me's on Monday. And I typically ship Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with Monday usually being like my biggest volume of stuff to ship out. Today is actually Thursday and I wasn't able to get to the post office yesterday. So I looked at my sales. I was like, you know what? I got enough interesting stuff. Let's do a ship with me. So hence you are getting me in all of my post bins glory. You're welcome. By the way, it was a really great day at the bins. Cannot wait to show you guys that haul. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia. That is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. Without further ado, guys, like I said, I was at the bins all morning, so it is late in the afternoon. I gotta get these things wrapped up into the post office. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipments. Okay, so we're gonna kick it off first with this adorable little dress from Skims. Now this is just like a bodycon. This is their I think this is their Fits Everybody jersey. It's really soft, really stretchy, but it's just like a little halter neck bodycon mini dress. I found this in a little stash of like 5 or 6 Skims pieces, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And it was like the first thing that I saw all day. And I'm like, oh, today's gonna be a good day. Pretty much everything from Skims sells really well because they have an absolute cult following. As somebody who is like very sensitive to fits and who is a bit of a textile nerd, gotta say, I adore Skims. I am not a Kardashian fan, but credit where credit's due. The Skims stuff is incredible and a fantastic brand to keep your eyes out for as a reseller. You know, this is one of the few brands that like if you find a basic tee in the regular thrift store at full price, I would still totally recommend picking it up. Because pretty much anything from Skims, starting at like their tank tops, you're gonna start at like 15 to 18 bucks for something like that, maybe even to 20. For a t-shirt, you're looking at like 20 to 25 bucks. They're very expensive retail, but especially if you can find either the more like limited drop type pieces or the more significant pieces, this is like a no-brainer, at least for right now. So I had this one listed for just about 3 weeks and I had so much interest in it in the interim. And I had it listed for $50 and I got an offer for $40, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $31.09, and that was a sale over on Depop. Guys, I'll tell you, those boosting fees on Depop have gotten quite high. I'm assuming that's the eBay effect. We kind of knew that was gonna happen, but either way, yeah, Skims, an absolute brand to be on the lookout for, something to be comfortable paying up for. I'll tell you, like, I didn't just have interest in this, I had offers on this. I probably had, since I listed it, like 9 or 10 offers that just didn't pop through between like 35 and 45. So, you know, I knew right off the rip that was gonna be a very quick sale. Next up, in contrast, something that I've had for a bit of a while, and I think it's more the size, and also this is a tough color, like it is completely blowing out the lens right now, but this is from Trina Turk, and this to me is like pure Trina Turk. Very bright colors. Their stuff feels very like Palm Beach sportswear, if that makes sense. I always like to say that Trina Turk is a brand that looks good on you when you're tan. Unfortunately for me, that's never unless it comes from a bottle. So Trina Turk is not my vibe, but it is definitely a lot of summer gals vibes. And like so expensive too. Like this shirt was probably like $150 to $200. It's like more than a simple t-shirt, but it's just a short sleeve shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's beaded or embellished. But this is the kind of thing, like I see a lot of very small sizes in Trina Turk, and because of that, they do tend to sell a little bit slower just because the buyer pool is smaller, you know? But either way, I had this listed for about 6 months, which I guess in the grand scheme of things is not too terribly bad. I still love Trina Turk stuff and I still absolutely pick it up when I see it because I know it does have a cult following. It just sometimes takes a minute for that cult following to find your listing. But I had it listed at $36 and I got an offer for $31, which I did accept. And with a $1 cost at the East Coast bins, this is actually one that my mom found, that brought me to a profit of $25.27. And this was a sale over on eBay. So right in time for summer season, and I hope this sees a little bit of sunshine and cocktails. Next up, this is a piece from XCVI Wearables, and this like shearing is very trademark for them. This is one of those brands that like when I first discovered that it was desirable, I was so mad at myself because I knew I had left it behind in the past. But their pieces always have this kind of like vaguely utility bohemian look to them. So for me, they're very easy to spot. Now that I know what they are and I know what I'm looking for, I can pick them out of a rack in 2 seconds time. But it's something that I do comfortably pay up for. In fact, I bought this one at the regular thrift store, and they do sell for like a baseline of decent bread and butter. And they can go up into like the 40s, the 50s for certain pieces. But their skirts, like if you keep your eyes out and you find one of their linen skirts, make sure you're using like the Log and Look keywords. I've had several of them sell in like a day or two. This one was all cotton, so it didn't have that like extra, attraction that a linen piece would have. That seems to be what people are most interested in from XCVI and Wearables. But it's such a defined brand. Like I always love when you have a brand where you can like pick it out of a crowd and know exactly who made it. Like the aesthetic of XCVI is so precisely defined. But either way, I had this listed at $32. I did find this without a drawstring, and if I had the drawstring, I probably would have asked closer to like $45. That's about going rate, but it did pop through as a full price sale, which we're happy about. With a $5 cost at the thrift, this brought me to a profit of $25.43. And this was a sale over on Depop as well. I had it for about 2 months. This is interesting because this is generally not the kind of thing that I anticipate selling on Depop, but here we are. Next up, another absolutely adorable skirt. This one is from Zara, and I absolutely love this skirt. I love the double flounce. I love that there's a little split in the front. I love the color of it. This feels like it's going to somebody who would shop at XCVI or Wearables. You know what I'm saying? It's very similar vibes. I'm very selective with what I pick up from Zara. I'm generally looking for either like semi-formal dresses, like cocktail dresses, slightly more significant, or things in nicer fabrics like linen. Perfect example. And they do still tend to sell fine for me. Like I probably see 150 Zara pieces on any given day at the bins. And I might leave with 2. Maybe 3 on like a really extraordinary day. And a lot of days I'll leave with no Zara pieces. So I'm interested, do you guys touch Zara at all? I know that there's a lot of people that are like, that's fast fashion, I don't want any parts of that, and I totally respect it. But for me, when there's something that's of a little bit of a nicer quality and I know that there's a demand for it out there, I am gonna happily be the person that'll get that out of the waste stream. But either way, I had this listed for about $34, and I had it listed for about 2 months, about what I expected for something like this, especially given the fact that I found it when it was quite cold in the majority of the country. But I sent an offer for $30, which was accepted. But my sidekick sent an offer for $30, which was accepted. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this was like roughly $2. I got this at a pay by the weight bins. This brought me to a profit of $22 even. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. And again, it took about 2 months. So I hope she loves it. I just think that this skirt is stinking adorable. I like that it's that casual, that beachy, that linen, but it's still got a little bit of like bounce to it. Linen can feel a little bit drab depending on the cut. That is the opposite of drab. Next up, now this is something interesting to talk about. This is a Patagonia Better sweater. And when I say that I've had this for 2 years, I'm not exaggerating. If you had asked me 5 years ago about one of the things that I like really want to see while I'm out thrifting, what I really want to see while I'm out sourcing, I would have told you Better sweaters. These were like it. And they're still, for people in that world, a very big deal. I used to live in a ski town. Everybody had a Better sweater. Every single person in Park City, Utah owns a Better sweater. And maybe that's it. Maybe everybody just has one and they don't need 2. But I was floored with how long this took to sell. So yeah, I think we have witnessed the death knell of the Better sweater, right? I guess it's still something to pick up. This was a smaller size, so maybe that came into play. But still, given how bulky this was, I will think twice about grabbing these whenever I see another one. So let me know, are you guys having the same experience with Patagonia overall? Are you having a similar experience with the Better sweaters in particular? The Nano Puff and the more substantial Patagonia pieces, and for sure the base layers, the higher end base layers, do very well for me when I can get my hands on them. But yeah, I think these are officially off of the hot list. I remember when the spider sweaters that were kind of similar to this, they were like the thing before this, at least in ski towns. I think they were called the core sweater. I remember when they were like the hottest thing in town. And then all of a sudden we saw them at Costco. So I don't think we'll ever see Patagonia in Costco, but regardless, I had this for, again, about 2 years. I had it listed at 48 bucks and I got an offer for $40, which I gladly accepted. And with a $1 cost at the bins 2 years ago, this brought me to a profit of $31 even, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. So let me know what your experience has been recently with Patagonia. Are there any models that you are seeing sitting around? You know, again, that was a size small, so that might have had some play into it, but let me know if you are seeing the same thing on your items. Next up, this is a gorgeous one. I don't know if this was once my mom's or if she thrifted this, but this came home with me in one of the hauls that she had picked up. And this is the most gorgeous linen printed scarf. And I just thought that this was the coolest thing. It's made by a brand called Yarns. That's Yarns with a Z. And honestly, if this was something that I had seen at like the bins, I probably would have grabbed this. I just think I really like blue and green together. It's my favorite color combo. And the lightness of the linen was just really, really cool. Very different looking. Like, this is a very unique scarf. Definitely a statement. But I had this one listed for about 3 months and I had it listed for 30 bucks. I really was just kind of making a stab in the dark with that. And I got an offer for 30, which I did accept, and with a $1-ish cost if she got this at her bins. This brought me to a profit of $15 even, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. And again, it took me about 3 months. So like I said, I don't remember ever seeing this like on my mom, but I feel like this might have been out of her closet. I don't know. Either way, I'm glad to be moving it on to a new home. Next up, this is a brand to be on the lookout for sure. This is Perfect White Tea, and Perfect White Tea has been targeting me so hard with ads. It is borderline annoying at this point. But Perfect White Tea has been around for a while, and they are like a perfect example of a brand that does one thing and does it right. And like any woman out there knows what I'm talking about. Like when you find that sweatshirt that is cut just right, the right amount of baggy in the right places, it's not too bulky, it's, you know, lighter weight fleece. You all know what I'm talking about. It's the Goldilocks sweatshirt, right? So Perfect White Tea has kind of perfected that. And this is their V-neck version. The crew neck version is called the Ziggy. And if you find one, you want to make sure that you're using that keyword because they're advertising that name heavily. But the Ziggy would probably sell for about 20 to 30% more than this sold for. So it's definitely not a cheap brand retail. I want to say that the Ziggy retails at like $158 something, $158, $168, somewhere in that range. So it is not cheap. Although to be clear, you know, I feel like most of us who spend lots of money on cheaper sweatshirts, although I don't know, I mean, like, I remember a point in my life where I switched from buying a lot of cheap jeans because they were inexpensive and never feeling great in any of them to buying like 3 pairs of jeans that are, you know, whatever cost because I feel good in them. Like that's a shift that I'm usually willing to make. Although $158 for a sweatshirt is steep. Either way, I had this one listed for $50, so definitely a BOLO brand. And within just 2 weeks, I got an offer for $40, which I gladly accepted. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $30 even. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. So I hope she absolutely loves it. I mean, you know, it's a good sale on the secondhand market and it's a significant amount off of retail. But yeah, those are super pricey on the retail side. Next up, this absolute stunner, and I literally just took this out of the dry cleaning bag. So this is a gorgeous little dress from Halston, and it's this lovely satin flounce with some really serious internal structure. I mean, this is Halston Heritage, so this was probably, I don't know, like a $400 or $500 dress, maybe more. The funny thing is I had a similar dress to this. It had the same bodice with that big ruffle over the bodice, but it didn't have the flounces at the bottom. It just had one kind of like fishtail hem situation. And that took a while to sell. But I guess, I mean, maybe it's because I'm listing this right like at formal season, spring wedding season, summer wedding, you know, people are prepping for all of these events. And I mean, Halston Heritage, if you are in the market for like a formal dress, fabulous. In fact, I was going on a quest. I have a wedding I'm going to in a couple of weeks, which I still don't have a dress for. I'm not stressing. It's totally cool. Totally. I kept trying to think about like which dresses I really loved in terms of like Hollywood. And I remember seeing, I think it was Sex and the City 2, that billowy pleated dress that Carrie wears when she's walking around on the beach. I'll see if I can find a picture of it. I'll put it up here. That is also Halston Heritage. Alas, none available. And apparently not many people are making very billowy pleated dresses anymore, which is very sad, at least in a price point that I can, you know, stomach. But either way, I had this listed for just 2 days. I had it listed at $90 and I got an offer for $70, which I gladly accepted. And with a $2 cost at the bins, I guess I did pay for dry cleaning as well. But either way, this brought me to a profit of $58.86. And this was a sale over on eBay. I hope she absolutely loves it. This dress is just absolutely stunning. And I mean, the way that those flounces sit, it's gonna be such a fun dress to like walk around in. Something about like a flounce ruffle at the bottom of a skirt that just like, it takes the experience of wearing a dress from like 2 to 10, you know? Next up, this is the kind of thing I'll never leave behind. This is a vintage Cheongsam Ki Pao. I don't know if I'm saying any of that right, so please apologies if I butchered it, but this is certainly vintage. I think that this was actually like a performance piece. There's definitely some condition issues here. There's a little bit of like sweat staining under here. There's one missing frog, you know, some picking, etc. And I just disclosed all that because this is not the kind of thing that I am skilled enough in to like fix. These things are all handmade. This is 100% handmade. But I do think just given some of the clues, like there's a couple different like alteration patterns on the inside, it looks like this was maybe fit to a couple different bodies. That's kind of what I'm getting at, which would lend me to a performance piece. And I mean, it's certainly spectacular and I do think it's quite old. You know, it doesn't have a zip on the back. You'll see like a zip closure in a lot of more modern pieces, but there's just a lot about this that's special. And I mean, it was the kind of thing that I don't know enough about to like price up. For all I know, this thing could be worth, you know, thousands, but you know, there are people who collect these. There are people who know quite a bit about these. I am not that person. I do know that when I see one and I know that it's vintage, I'm 100% picking it up because I know there's a market for it. I've sold quite a few of them. I thought that this would be really pretty because of how ornate the like embroidery and embellishment was. I thought that this would be a pretty piece to like hang. You know, we've all been to like restaurants that have something like this kind of mounted in a frame and hung on the wall. Like I think that it would be really pretty as a piece of decor. I mean, people do the same thing with kimonos. But either way, this is something I had for about 3 months. And I'm not surprised it took a little bit of time to sell just because of, you know, the condition issues that it did have. And I had it listed at $36 and it popped through as a full price sale over on Etsy. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of approximately like $28. So I hope they love it. I hope this goes to somebody who knows, you know, what to do with something like this because it is gorgeous. And this is not the kind of thing that I will ever let go to the baler, you know? Oh, next up, this is like an adorable little vintage silk camisole. This is from a brand called Flores and Flores, which I'd never heard of before, but like the quality of this was really nice. So I'm assuming that this was a higher end brand. And again, I'm gonna guess like Y2K vintage. Let me know if you're familiar with that brand. But again, 100% silk camisole, a little bit of the longer line. This is something that we would have worn over our, you know, boot cut jeans and probably Old Navy $1 flip-flops. Let's all thank Old Navy for our collapsed arches right now. I mean, not me anymore because Birkenstocks have brought them back, but like for a while, it was not a good scene. But this I ended up finding on a sale day at a thrift store. So I think it was like $3 full price and I got it 50% off, so I paid like $1.50 for it. I mean, really any kind of camisole tank top that's real silk, you should be paying attention to. It's still red hot right now. Like just today, you'll see this in a haul, I don't know when, and picked up a silk camisole from White House Black Market, which is a brand I do not pick up at all. But when I find like a silk lace trim camisole, it's not about the brand at all, and it's about the style. So even if this didn't have a label in it at all, I would have picked it up because it's silk, right? Just a reminder, you know, brands are great, they're often gravy, but when you have a style that's very much in style, brand doesn't matter. But either way, I had this listed for, oh goodness, I can't read my own handwriting. I had this listed for $39 and I got an offer for $33.60, which I gladly accepted. And with a $1.50 cost at the thrift, This brought me to a profit of $27.79, and this was a sale over on Depop. And it took me about 3 months to sell, which again, not super surprised just given seasonality, but hope she absolutely loves it. It's a gorgeous little piece. And then finally, we have the most gorgeous little dress. This is from a brand called Barak, which I had never heard of before, but everything about this dress just screamed quality. This is all beaded right here. There's a little like beaded fringe, and this is the label. I believe this was sold at Anthropologie. I know that they sold at least 1 or 2 of their dresses, but it just has the most beautiful printed skirt, little fringe at the bottom. This was one of those pieces from Anthropologie, you know, that was like $368, right? You know how they'll have like the Anthropologie branded stuff and they'll be, you know, $148 to $168, whatever. And then they have like the outside brands that they bring in and they're 3 times that price. This is one of them. And this is one that I spotted at the regular thrift store and just had to have it. It's got a lot of fabric, right? Like this is such a girlhood thing, but it's got, you know when you have a maxi skirt and you twirl around in it and it just kind of goes out like this? Like when you twirl in a skirt, you want that skirt to go out like this, and this skirt will go out like that, right? Any guys watching are gonna like have no idea what we're talking about, but every girl watching knows exactly what I am talking about. There we go. Trying to like contain that skirt is a real feat. But it's a brand to keep your eyes out for. I've never heard of it before I found this. I've never seen anything since. I don't think it's a very big brand, but definitely pricey. And it had a ton of interest on it. I only think I saw 1 or 2 offers other than the one that I got that ended up in a sale, but it had a lot of likes. I want to say on Depop it had like 120 some odd likes, something to that tune. And you know what? It's her birthday. I want to write her a little note. But either way, I had this listed for about 4 months and I had it listed at $118. And she sent me an offer for $110, which I gladly accepted. And with a $9 cost at the regular thrift store, this brought me to a profit of $83.06. And this was a sale again over on Depop. So I hope she loves it and has the most beautiful Earth Day. But guys, that is it. That is the shipment for today. Thank you so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. Thank you for dealing with me in my post-bins glory. It's a fun little change of pace for a Thursday, at least for me. So yeah, some interesting stuff going on, some BOLO brands for sure. Maybe the death knell of the Patagonia Better sweater. Interesting stuff happening. But guys, I always appreciate you taking a little of your precious time to hang with me and yak and nerd out about these things. It makes me just like so happy to know that there are other people in the world into the same stuff that I am. But guys, if you had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. All of that helps me out so much with YouTube. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next